Bang, Neves Knives. I'm Jared with my lovely wife Carol.
Hello. Just want to let you guys know I have some really bad spring allergies right now. I'm gonna try to keep the sniffing to a minimum, but bear with me, please.
And today we are going to check out the Civivi Anthropos. And we are going to do some cutting and do our opinion on it. But first, let's get to the specs.
All right. All right, guys. Here is a list of the specs. This is from Blade HQ. If you want to check out the more specific specifications, go ahead and pause the video now. If not, we're going to go ahead and move on to some size comparisons.
Alright, so let me wipe this off just a little bit. And then let's start off with the, is that too shiny? Okay. The bare knuckle, Kershaw. Let's go.
It's a good one.
Pivot to pivot. Yeah, it's decent. It's a little bit longer though. And the overall length on this is 7.5 inches for the Civivi. And this is a really good size comparison. The ZT0450.
Yeah, as far as length is concerned.
Yep. And this is a really good one too. The Knockout.
Yeah, it is.
By Kershaw. That one's really good. And then let's throw in something.
Around. I just want to see the difference here.
Okay.
Because it is
I know it changes a little
pretty
bit.
close. Yeah, it does.
And then we'll throw in his little cousin.
The Wee Vapor.
And just one more since we.
Why don't you do this one? That's actually a decent one.
Alright.
Just,
The Ace Biblio.
yeah, it's actually a very good, for the handle, especially.
Mouse. And then just one more because we do this one a lot. The Rake P801. Alright.
Alright, you want to do some close-ups?
Yeah.
Alright, go ahead.
Alright.
Give me a rag while you're talking.
Take the. Alright guys, the blade on this is D2. It is, the blade on it is 3¼ inches. It is a full flat grind drop point. The height on the blade is 1.1 inches. You see Elijah Isham's logo right there. And then if you, actually I think you have to close it for this. But, or it might be right on top, but if you close it, there, or maybe it's right on the front, there's a D2 logo. It's very subtle, very small. Maybe you actually got to open it. I think it's right here on the front. It's right here, right here. Isn't it right there? Oh. Right there, baby. It's very small. Anyways, it's there. It's very small. The price on this guy is about $80. I think it's like $79.95. At least on Blade HQ. And I also want to say, before I really get into this knife, I do want to do a shout out to Timbo437 on Instagram. He loaned us this knife. He's supporting our channel greatly. He's a really great guy, and we would not be able to do this without him. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, this thing, the blade has, it's actually internal stop pins. The handle is 4.1 inches. The handle is G10 with a carbon fiber overlay. And you see where they cut out those slices through the carbon fiber, which looks really cool. It is a, I guess you'd call it a front flipper, but I mean...
It's a top flipper.
Top flipper. But
heavily not a front, because front would be over here.
I know, a lot of people call that. Like, I mean, it's hard. I mean, whatever. It's a top flipper. It's really small right on top. You see it right there.
Right there, yeah. I can't open it right
It does actually work very well.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
very
just
snappy.
having trouble in front of the camera.
For as small as it is. We're gonna get some action here in just a moment. But anyways, it is a liner lock. You see the jimping on the liners that swoop up and around to the finger guard. It's rounded and contoured pretty much all over it. Even the back of the blade has like a semi-crowned blade. The blade is very slicey. This thing gets very thin behind the edge. It's actually a thin blade altogether, so that just, you know, helps with the thin edge on it. It has a finger choil, and you see it goes up there to the sharpening choil, which is a little bit above the plunge grind, which is really good, especially for sharpening. So this would be a very nice knife to sharpen. I have not sharpened this knife. I believe it still has its original edge on there and has only been stropped. Like I said, this isn't my knife, so this is a knife or an edge I would love to sharpen. I mean, this thing's already right now, you know, it's got a killer edge on there, so it doesn't need to be sharpened. Civivis do come with a very good edge on them already, at least from what I've seen. Everybody that I've talked to, they come with a really good edge. But so it can be maintained for quite a while. Anyways, it has a deep carry clip, stainless deep carry clip that works very well. It's very deep in the pocket. The thing
This is what sticks out.
basically just disappears in the pocket. Nothing really
that little
sticks
tiny
out.
itty bitty
I don't even think
point.
that really sticks out because it's towards the corner of your pocket. So
My little ones, it does. But
right, you have tighter pants.
yeah.
But it's got the CVV logo on the pivot collar. It is a T8 on the pivot, and then T6s everywhere else. At least I'm pretty sure it is. I'll double check it in just a second. I'm pretty positive that's what I used. I think I got them.
Speaking of the clip, by the way, I just wanted to mention it's only a two-way clip tip up. You can't switch it to tip down. Just so you know.
Yeah, right and left side though.
Yeah, as I said, two-way.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get to some action. All right. Did you pause?
No, you got.
Are you still going?
Yeah, keep
All
up.
right.
Gotta keep the people happy.
All right. This knife, you see the deployment on it is very rapid. It does have, you kind of have to use this, not really the skin, you can use your finger, but you want to use kind of the skin of your finger and just shoot your finger straight down. So it's just like, wow, like that. You can use your thumb. I like to do that sometimes, just like that. Whoa, I kicked the camera. It does work very well like that. Can you see me still?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, you're
bang,
still
like
there.
that. But overall, I mean, it does snap out very good. It has a very good detent. It's not really drop shutty. I put some KPL on there, and it did get a little bit more smoother. It already is very smooth though, so don't think that has anything to do with smoothness. That's just the lock bar tension, and it has good lock bar tension, but it's, I mean, I can easily slap it down like that, very easily, like with hardly any effort. But you see, just with that little bit of shake, it does go down. It's just not like a super crazy drop shutty knife or nothing like that. Like I said, I like
Shake and bake.
I like to do it like that. That's kind of, and then I get the middle finger on there. And like I said, you kind of, the way you want to do it, since it's not a back flipper where you can do the push button and the light switch, you kind of only want to really light switch this. You can do somewhat of a push button, but it's a little awkward. Like it's like at an angle. Yeah, you kind of want to get it at an angle. And you don't need any wrist or anything with that. You can do it. It does
Basically, you're just kind of loading your finger pressure up instead of relying completely on the light switch method. You kind of pressurize your finger before you hit it. It's almost like in between a light switch and a push button.
It is extremely sharp. And, did you write that?
No?
Maybe they should do it. I know paper's not really good. This is just regular computer paper. It's not the best way to tell an edge, but if you sharpen knives and if you're used to cutting paper, you can actually tell a lot by this. Like if you, like when I watch other people cut paper. Like, I can kind of tell how good an edge is just by how the paper cuts, how clean it is, how loud it is, and by how straight it is. Like, if you look at this, like when you really look at the edge right there, how there's no like stragglers. Like the paper's very clean cut all the way around. And if there was any nicks in the blade or anything like that, you would see it catching on the paper. So you can really tell, especially when you go slow, like I am right there. Like any dull blade, like I can sharpen a knife on a low grit stone, which is not sharp at all, and go fast and just cut right through it. I think just about anybody can do that. I can do it with a very dull knife.
Any sharpened piece of metal, period, would do that.
Right, but
there's a difference in the way it cuts, like you said.
I mean, if it's real dull, it's just gonna fold the paper. It's just gonna fold it. But when you go really slow, and you can hear it, just how clean it is. And then also when you push cut, when you just push right through and just keep pushing, that's another way to tell. Okay, let me get another corner. You go like that, and then now I'm just pushing. I'm not like rotating my wrist at all. I'm just pushing, and you see, it's pretty smooth. And that's because this thing is really sharp. It does take a killer edge. And I know it will take a killer edge. Even just anybody who knows, I guess, about edge geometry and stuff, you can tell and see that this is just the perfect type of blade shape for somebody who cares a lot about edge geometry and cutting abilities. I would imagine cutting fruit or cutting food prep or anything like that would be very good with this. Like I was saying before, you can. I have a pretty large hand. It does fit in my palm, as you can see. I do have to, put my hand up under here. If I want a little bit better grip, I can go up there.
That thing is kind of like a makeshift guard.
Yeah, really. It's definitely a finger guard.
Hold you for sure.
You can get the saber grip, but when you do choke up with it, you want to make sure your middle finger's locked in really good, because this type of blade shape and edge, if your hand does slide up it's going to cut you to the bone. So just lock your finger in there really good, and you're not going to be doing heavy cutting with this anyway. So, the type of cutting you would be doing, I think you'd be pretty safe as long as, you choke up on it real good. But it is pretty comfortable for the type of shape it is.
So let me say something about that, the ergonomics and the comfort. My one gripe with the ergonomics is the clip here. If you could, I don't know if you can see from there or not, but the ramp right here is actually pretty steep. And when I hold this in my right hand, if I'm really bearing down on it, I can feel my skin start to pinch along the side of the metal here and where the ramp sticks up. And, normally I'm like the last person to complain about hot spots. I don't feel like just because I can feel a part of the knife that's a bad thing necessarily, or like an uncomfortable thing. But this one to me is just a little uncomfortable where that clip is. Now I'm left-handed, so I don't actually hold it in that hand, and left-handed the clip falls right between my fingers, that ramp, and it doesn't matter. But since, most of the world is right-handed, I think it's something worth mentioning, but not a disqualifying character.
That shows a big difference between large and small hands, because, like, for me, no problems at all.
It depends on, maybe not even size, just your hand, where it hits your hand.
Yeah.
It could hit someone's skin, it could be more sensitive.
Well, because, like me, it lands right there.
You also are calloused from construction work, so you're not going to feel it as much.
But there is knives that we have, though, where this part right here gets right here gets me. I can feel it when I'm bearing down. Like this one, that's a good thing to show the difference between large and small hands. The jimping on the lock bar, though, it's definitely it's a little odd the way it goes up. It's not just straight up like like another knife where it's just like straight. I'm not even sure. Just where it's straight. This one curves up and around right here. Yeah. So you want to kind of get your finger up underneath the finger guard when you unlock it, and that works just fine. It does have the jimping on there. It's aggressive jimping, but it's not going to
It's
bother
like
you at all.
rounded jimping that's aggressive still. So
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Like it doesn't. Like, you can sit here and play with it for quite some time before you get
Yeah.
fatigued. But after a while, I think you'd get a little fatigued from it. But I mean, it's fine though. With the action, you can also just grab the top of it like that and kind of roll your finger around. It's just not as fast as just grabbing the tip of it and pinching down.
Right.
One thing I do wish, oh yeah, there is just one more thing. There's jimping on the top of the flipper tab. You can't barely see it. It's
not on
very
the
minimal.
outside. It's like on
Right,
the
it's
top
right on the
and
tip.
inside right
Yeah,
here,
right on the
yeah.
top. Right on the top of that
It's
little
like a
piece.
single jump.
Yeah, I think it's 3 jumps. It's 3 jumps, and they're very small, but I mean, I guess they're somewhat useful. They could be maybe a little bit more
if they
aggressive.
weren't there, we might have.
Might be just rolling off.
Yeah,
I do wish that the flipper tab was a hair wider.
yeah.
It's a little pokey.
It's stabby
Yeah, it's
because of its
stabby.
size. So because it's smaller, you feel that
You can
pressure
see
a
how
little
it's
more.
kind of pokey. If it was just slightly wider, which they could have done, they could have filled.
At least it is rounded though. That I'll give them.
They could have filled from side to side where the liners are. They
Yeah.
could have filled that with the width of it, and it wouldn't have done anything bad. I mean, it would have just been a little bit wider right there. So that's one thing they could have done, a little
Coulda,
extra.
shoulda, woulda.
This thing is on ceramic ball bearings, so it's got, like I said, very good action. It's very smooth. Now, this hole in the blade, you can't finger flip it. It does not work.
That's the worst. That's misleading.
It's very tight up there, so it's a very small there. You can't even get your finger in there. You can pinch it and roll it. That's one thing you can do. And you're using the hole. You can use the holes
You're
a little
not
bit.
really. You're
but
using
if
the
you
surface of the blade.
watch the holes go past this finger guard, it blocks it kind of. And then all you have is this little tiny bit right there, which then your finger runs into this edge, so it doesn't really work. You're basically just using the blade.
And I'm going to
rolling
tell
it
you,
off.
if you have smaller fingers, that's not going to help you. I have very small fingers, and I can even kind of get my finger in that hole, and it's not coming out.
No,
There's
the
no way.
D10's too strong. You
Yeah.
know, for it to be a
Man, I'm so bad at opening it with my left hand. It's
a
weird.
finger flipper.
Yeah.
And you're left-handed.
I know. Sometimes I don't know. Yeah. You can also thumb flick it, but no, that hole to me, I guess was just a design aspect. We had a talk before about it kind of aligning with the plunge grind and almost being, I don't know, just kind of.
Like, it's right behind the plunge grind, so it's not going to
Yeah.
be in your cutting path.
Right, so it could
Everything
be
you
there.
cut, it's going to cut and go right past the hole. So I don't know, maybe it's just
to
if it's just an area
accentuate
for you
that
to say
area, I
how
don't
high
know.
your thumb can go, maybe, because that's
Before
where
you're in the cutting path.
that's where your thumb's gonna want to be, right before you're in the.
Yeah.
As long as you're on top of that hole, you're not going to be in the cutting path, I guess, unless if you're cutting things in this direction.
My guess is
maybe.
they weren't thinking that deep about it.
I don't think they were. I think it was just
aesthetic
design. It is
but
Elijah Sean, and he makes some crazy stuff.
interesting, unique stuff.
But I will say I'm 50-50 with his designs. There is some designs I'm okay with, and some I don't like at all. This one I do like. There are a couple more that I like a lot. But there's some that are just too out. They're not.
It's practical.
Yeah, they're not practical for the user, and I'm more of a user. I do like
In his
quality
defense,
stuff,
though, we haven't handled a lot of his designs,
we
so
haven't,
we
no.
really shouldn't even talk about it.
Right, but I can just tell. I can just look and see. When you handle enough knives, you can look and see stuff that you already know you like. But there are times, though, when you're like, yeah, I wouldn't like that. And then you get it in your hand and you're like, oh, I love this. So, I mean, it's possibilities.
You
But
have any other negatives besides the unusable hole?
unusable
and
hole,
the-
the sharp,
The
sharp flipper
liner,
tab.
kind of interesting positioning of that.
I think this is interesting right here. I think it's a little sharp, the jumping on there, and I got some pretty.
It wouldn't be
aggressive
if
fingers.
it wasn't curved up.
I
It's
use my-
stabbing into your nail like at the top of your finger. If it was just straight, it probably wouldn't.
I have
be.
really short nails, so they actually go up underneath my
Yeah.
nail a little bit, but it's not horrible. Like, it's very doable.
No.
I can do this for a long time, and
It's
I
not a
have.
disqualifying character of the knife.
No.
You would still buy the knife despite that.
I like it, and who I'm gonna say is gonna get this. The person that should get this and want to get this is somebody who likes edge geometry and wants a mean slicer. I mean, this thing, it's so thin, such a thin blade stock, and it also has a very useful tip. But it's such a high grind that it gets super thin, and I can imagine if I put my edge on here. Oh, I mean, it's already a laser. This thing's already, I mean, it's crazy sticky. It doesn't need to even be sharpened. I mean, it's very sharp. And so this thing would just be, it's just a cutting beast. Since it's a tall flat grind, though, there is, you know, a lot of people would say that, you know, because the more you sharpen it, the more higher it's going to go, the more thicker the edge is going to get. So it's not a knife you're just going to want to sharpen constantly, you know, like a hollow grind. It's going to stay thin for a while. It's going to stay the same thinness. This isn't. This is going to get thicker every time you sharpen it. But as long as you treat it well and stop when you need to, and then sharpen only when you need to, and don't sharpen unnecessarily, this thing will last you a long time, a long time. Especially with, you know, when if you're cutting the right things. So.
Did we say the price for this knife?
Yes, I did.
What was it?
It's $80, basically.
So
$80.
then I'll say, you said this knife is for somebody who wants a good edge geometry and a slicey blade. I also think this knife is for somebody who wants a decent level of material quality for not an insane price. So there's not a lot of knives in that like 60 to 90.
There's a lot of knives.
Listen, let me finish. So the $60 to $100 range, there's not a lot of high quality. You get, you know, like instead of being like a Kaiser, you get the Vanguard and then this and then that. And there needs to be, in my opinion, more knives that fall into that range that don't lack their build quality and their material quality. I know there's a lot of D2 carbon fiber knives these days,
there's a lot.
and stuff like that. It's not necessarily what I mean, but not so much with a unique design, and not so much. They're kind of all just variations of one another, and I think this does have a unique design to it, honestly. It really does, with the top flipper and the design hole, and it's kind of a unique handle shape and blade shape. So for somebody who wants something different without completely breaking their wallet, but yet still kind of getting a quote-unquote fancier knife, I think this would be great for that category.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, it's very comfortable in the pocket. It's very light. It's not heavy at all. It's very light, so it's easy to carry. It's a very good cutter, so a very good flipper. Feels very good to flip. It's got a very good detent. You can hear it right there. I mean, it's a good knife. So yeah, Civivi. We're gonna check out some more here really soon. Tim said that he was gonna send us some more knives, and we actually have one more of his right now. So we're gonna get these back to him and get some more from him. And yeah, thanks Tim. Thanks for supporting the channel.